Okay, guys, look, we got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to talk about today with Stranger Things. Man, first off, man, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
All right, well, I'm Wade Simmons. I'm a filmmaker out of Chicago. Been in the film business about almost 9 years. I did go to school for it. I went to film school like right after going to school to be a mortician. So did a little pro wrestling training too. So a jack of all trades and a master of none. But today we just here to talk about love of filmmaking and Stranger Things, right?
Um, I feel like we need to go back next time. I know we talked about the pro wrestling thing a long time ago. We need to go back and talk about some of the other stuff. But for now, we got to talk about Stranger Things, man. I don't know where to begin because that I think that what Stranger Things did, if you take the story away, you just take away all the critique, okay? They made a cultural phenomenon in a show that really kind of just started off as a nice sci-fi Goonies adventure. And
Absolutely.
they made culture powerful phenomenon and broke barriers in my eyes, man.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's definitely a classic, and like I said, I think from the cast to the storyline, I think it was really interesting because it was really something different, and like to give us a 2 hour kind of like finale, it did not feel like 2 hours to be honest with you. I'm like that was 2 hours, like if it feel like it could have been a little longer, but every great story got to come to an end at some point, right?
And I think they did it. I mean, obviously, they ran into a lot of challenges with filming, and you know that. You know, you had the writer's strike, and then you had COVID, and then just the process of filming, the long days, the special effects, the finances. So you add all that together. I mean, it probably should have ended about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if we really want to be honest. But 2 hours, 8 minutes finale, they really packed a lot in there. And I think the most important thing was it felt like they wasted no time diving right in.
They didn't.
We didn't we were diving into the battle. We're going to the abyss. And they gave us a really theatrical experience. Some people saw it in the theater, but they gave us a theatrical experience at home. And I gotta be honest with you, man, there's not a lot of shows that can pull that off.
Yeah, not at all. Like I mean, I like, and I kind of like the way that they did that because, like, to me, the Wheeler family is like a very huge part of their storyline because if we go back to episode one, when we were first introduced to Mike and Will and Lucas and Dustin, when we first introduced to them, it is right there in the Wheeler's house. You know what I'm saying? And so and I like how they kind of played with the theme of Mike kind of being the storyteller because to me, he is kind of like the leader. A lot of the episodes kind of gotta it's seeming like it got away from that, but again, like you said in storytelling, right, there's only so much you can do, and I think that like Stranger Things did a really good job with focusing on the new characters as well as the old ones, like, and what they pulled off, like it's, I don't know, not too many people have really done that very well, but I think they did it in a really cool way to where like it's kind of like one of those things where I kind of feel like they were kind of passing the torch over in a sense. You know, I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty cool, man, because like I said in the series, Mike is actually one of my favorite characters in the city because I kind of relate to Mike because again, it's kind of cool to like have a leader that likes telling stories and keep everybody together. So I like how like the ending they kind of brought him kind of back to the forefront. And Dustin is a really cool character. Like I love the one when him and Susie was singing like the never ending story.
Um, by the way, man, what happened? I'm just gonna assume because I was hoping we'd see Susie again, but I'm just gonna assume that we didn't see Susie because the military quarantined everybody off. It was a lot harder. Maybe Susie moved out of Hawkins before then, but I'm assuming that Susie's okay and safe. Okay.
Well, what about you? What was your favorite character from the Stranger Things series?
We got all these really pivotal characters that in my opinion they all had their level of importances, important roles in each season, in each story. I like you said, Mike. I mean, yeah, if you go back to the beginning and you watch them play D&D, he is this, storyteller, and I think he really has that connection. For me, man, I think Max was one of the biggest additions
Yeah,
to this story because remember when we first met her, man, she was not having anything to do with these guys. She was a she was nothing. And then the connection with her brother. And then really, she's the one that got away from Vecna. So that is like Vecna's Achilles heel,
yeah,
got away. And she was the one to, yeah, she was sidelined for a little bit, but she was the one to really pull the energy and the confidence out of Holly and really kind of come back and say, no, we're gonna save you. I think Max is probably one of my favorite
yeah.
characters.
I like,
Shout
yeah, I like Max as well. I think that Sadie Sinks. I think she's a very phenomenal actress, by the way. And I think that she played a really good part. And it's amazing to me because in this episode, all of the characters kind of had like really big moments. I honestly feel like nobody really got left out, like, because I mean, like, from Erica, even the teacher, I forget the teacher name, but all of these characters that kind of like have with the series, like, and even like, because if we go back to the first episode, like Holly, right, she was, a different actress playing her, but Holly in the first episode, I mean, she was at the table with her family. And so to kind of
right.
close it out, like Mike kind of, it seemed to me like Mike is kind of passing the torch to his sister. I thought that was pretty cool, I think that's, man, that was, I love the way they did that. Like it shows me that they were very intentional about everything. Because a lot of this stuff just didn't start out of nowhere, right? Because we already know as filmmakers, you have to put a lot into the story. Sometimes, you have to really kind of know the ending, even right at the beginning in a sense. So you gotta have a sense of direction. So I think the Duffer Brothers did a very phenomenal job, in my opinion. And again, storytelling is very subjective. So you're gonna have people that's like, it could have been this way or that way, but I think they did an awesome job. I think they did an
I
awesome
think
job.
And I think, like, yeah, we could look back and go, hey, there's some plot armor. We could go back and say there's some plot holes, maybe. But the reality is, I mean, when you're involved in storytelling and writing with this massive level of characters, you're not going to make everybody happy, and you're not going to be able to do everything you want because you also have the constraint of a budget, a time frame. Like, especially with television and movies, you got to get it done. If you're writing a book, you can take all the time in the world, right? But to me, they wrote a book, a movie, a graphic novel, all in television. And I don't feel like any of the characters got kind of screwed
I
over.
don't either.
Uh, I think, like, did I want more? I don't know if I want more because the way I always view it is if I can watch something or read something and am satisfied at the end, and maybe I want to go back to it, or maybe I want to talk about it like we are, then I think they did their job.
Yeah, they did.
And they told the story with there's some real powerful dialogue. There's also some other dialogue that's whatever, but there's some real powerful dialogue moments. Max, like you said, Sadie, oh my God, that's an amazing actress. She raised the bar in my eyes.
Yeah,
She had some crucial moments. I mean, when you feel those emotions and then you tie in the music, and I'm like, people were telling me, well, they didn't really kill anybody off of the main characters. And I'll admit, I thought they were going to, and I don't know if I wanted them to right away. I don't know if I wanted to see Dustin unalived or anything, but they didn't need to
yeah,
because
yeah.
you felt the drama. And then, of course, 11, where, I personally think 11 is gone.
Well, you know what?
Uh, hmm,
I'm glad that you brought that up because, like, to me, the ending is, and I know over the years a lot of people have told me they don't kind of like the open ended thing, but you know what? I always had like a love for films that ended that way because it kind of reminded me of The Sopranos, and even Everybody Hates Chris, right? Like when the way that it ended is like you don't really know what really happens, what happened or didn't happen. But to me, I actually like that because like part of filmmaking and part of creating characters is to make it relatable to real life. And a lot of time in real life, we don't always know what's next. We don't always know what happens to, so I think it's a pretty cool way to kind of have ended it like that way. Um, I,
Agree.
I think it was phenomenal if you ask me.
I and you brought up some really good points too. 11 being gone doesn't necessarily mean that she's dead. She's just gone. Like she, she can't come back because if she does, that's going to start. It is the military's going to find. But if she can just vanish, then she's alive but gone. That's still just as tragic. If she is dead, that's also tragic. So I mean, like, whichever way you look at it, whatever you want to break down, like, I agree. I think that was a really good ending, and I felt like it was impactful, especially the way that we saw Mike going up the stairs. He's about to face a brave new world on his own, looking down at his sister. For us, for people that have grown up, especially me, I'm old, uh, for no, but for all of us, we look back at our childhood and we remember moments of our childhood that we'll never get back.
Yeah, that was,
You know, that,
and I really like that they did, like, they started the characters pretty much, they ended them where we first met them at. And it was pretty cool because, like, when we go back to them, putting their books on the shelf, right? Like Max, she put her book up first. Then Lucas followed behind her. Then Dustin. Then Will. And then we finally got the last ended with my boy Max. I mean, with my boy Mike rather. I said Max. I got Max, Mike, but they all are wonderful characters, but like I said, Mike is one of my favorite characters because as myself being a storyteller, like, I enjoyed the way that, like, they had him put it on the shelf as he walks up the stairs. His sister comes down with her friends, you know. And then to my boy Derek, man. A lot of people love my boy Derek. He's also from Illinois too, so that's that's like mind blowing. But like I said, I think that they can still do a lot with that because Stranger Things series it's a lot bigger than just Hawkins. Because if we really look at it, even with Henry with Vecna, right? Like, he was only one small part of that universe.
right.
Because as we know, they had the suppression stone, you got the hive mind, you got all these experiences. So there could be more. So I think it was just really a good way to kind of pass the torch along to, like, the next group. Even if they don't explore that, I'm pretty sure at some point they're gonna probably do a little more with it. It's almost kind of like Star Wars with the Force, right? Like, the Force
Right.
is much bigger than the Skywalkers and Yoda, and that's just one small part of it.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I did like that passing. I thought they brought the kids because those kids that they experienced their own thing. They were trapped. They were with Mister Whatsit and Vecna, and like they were in the Mind Flayer's body. Like they experienced their own connection, which brought them together. Which, like Dustin was saying, I thought that was really cool. I loved that the kids weren't just kids. They weren't just helpless kids. They were fighting.
Oh
They were
yeah,
doing everything.
Holly is a really brave hero to me because, like I said, at some point in the story, she took over and she helped. And Derek, they both worked well together, as well as some of the other characters. But to me, that really stood out to me, and so I like I said, they can do a lot with that. I'm probably sure you know how that goes. Like, a lot of times when you create something like that, a lot of times some filmmakers, they don't. It's like they don't want to ruin it, so sometimes they just kind of they leave it where it is and kind of go to something else.
Hey, forget it. We're gonna move on. And I guess like great thing about it is if they do leave it, let's just say we know there's an animated series coming out. So and that's gonna take place between season 2 and 3 with the same core group of people. So that's gonna be interesting, but almost like a Clone Wars type thing. Um, if they do leave it, it's left in a way like we can continue to talk about what ifs. But if they don't leave it, they can get away from Hawkins. They can go a different route. There's a lot of bigger parts to the puzzle out there. And we saw that with Brenner. We know what Brenner was trying to do. We saw that with the Abyss or Dimension X, whatever you want to call it. That, like, yeah, we saw the Mind Flare, but that dimension is just not here. They didn't destroy the dimension. They destroyed the bridge.
Yeah.
So there.
And
What else
I
that
think
vast land?
I think they were setting up Dr. K for something bigger. I
I
think
hope.
I think she seemed like, because like I kind of liked how like she she was also a villain, cuz Stranger Things was a story within a story. But
Yeah.
we can pretty much tell, like, it seemed like Dr. K's being set up for something. She's gonna be some type of antagonist, maybe down the road, maybe in another adventure or something like that. But it's
Yeah,
like,
we did
I,
that because I felt that's my only like real true complaint is you got Linda Hamilton in there in a villain role, which was great. And then you kind of she never did anything. You know what I mean? Like like I was hoping she was there. Like I'm like, and I was either kill her off, let Vecna kill her, or you got to be setting her up for something because there's no way that they just kind of wasted that potential. I don't know. It
yeah,
felt a little off.
yeah.
It felt
Well, like I said, because like because like I said, I'm the way that I saw it. I'm looking at, like, you know what? It seemed like she's going to be probably set up to be the villain kind of later down the road for something else, because cause like I said, because we know that they were doing all type of experiments. So we know that
right.
Hawkins had a bridge, but who knows where else, so I think it's pretty cool. And like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll see Holly, Derek, in that group again. It may not necessarily be a story focusing on them, but they may play a role maybe in another part of the story.
Yeah, I think I mean that it's they said the potential's there. You have a whole new generation, of kids, some sort of adventure story. You know what I really did like to, and I wanted to get to this. I am very happy that they didn't go the route of Henry kind of trying to get a different arc where they rescue Henry from the mind flares, spell, and he's now a quote unquote good guy. Um, I'm happy that he stuck to his villain role. That scene in the tunnel where we find out exactly, because Henry was a little kind of interesting before he got possessed by the mind flare. But when we find out and he opens up the briefcase and that whatever, the stone takes him over, we realize he believes that him and the mind flare are connected and on the same side, that he's not under a spell. So I'm happy that they went the route of him staying the villain. And I am happy that we saw Joyce just unleash on him at the end.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that was
when
like, but you know what? But and also I like the way that they did that, because all of the characters fought in the battle together, and they all work together to defeat evil. And so to me, I think that was pretty. And like I said, I understand too, to your point, where you, because like a lot of times, like, it was kind of like he was just saying, like, no, look, like, me and like you said, me and the suppressor, don't, no, I chose this path. He's
yes,
like, I chose this path. And so
that's
so
that's
he so he
crazy.
he just let you know, he just straight up evil. And he
Yeah.
got what was coming to him.
And a lot of times we have that in movies where the villain isn't straight up evil anymore. Like there's always this like I mean even not to go off on the subject, but even looking at Thanos, who's pure evil, his thinking process was not really evil. He would but the way he went about things and his ego, yeah, but getting a villain that's just pure evil, like we don't get that a lot. So I was
Yeah.
very
And I
happy
and
to see.
again, I always say that again, storytelling is like real life. A lot of times we have to take into consideration that there are all types of people in this world we live in. And so,
Sure.
that's the beauty of storytelling, right? Like you're creating from your imagination this world, and you're putting people in it. And so like I said, so Stranger Things to me, um, I think they did a phenomenal job, and I think they put together a really good cast. And I would love to see, those individuals work together. I understand, like, once if you ever been on a film set working and you meet people, whether you in front of the camera, behind the camera, don't really make a difference. but it's like you become a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like to be working together with people that long, you just have to like it's bittersweet. But like I said, hopefully we'll get to see them all work together again on something else. But I think every actor on the show did a phenomenal job. I was really
I agree.
impressed.
I really liked too the little nods to moments like the beginning. Like for example, Dustin's speech was exactly what Eddie was gonna do if he was gonna graduate. It goes back to Eddie having that conversation of when I get my diploma, I'm gonna do this, and Dustin lived that. When they're walking up, they show, in the basement, they show the two colors, blue and yellow. That's what the clothes what that Mike and 11 were wearing when they first met each other and they were in the basement. So there was all these little, and I'm like, those aren't just like fan service. That's important. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's storytelling, and that's where the emotion comes in. And I thought that the Duffer Brothers since day one have done the best thing with music. They have worked music into the storytelling, not just as a cool song to play, but it makes sense. I mean, you
yeah,
throw Purple Rain,
yeah. My
you
mom.
melt
It
that.
was funny because my mom was half asleep right while I was watching, while I was watching the finale right, and then when Paper Rain started playing, she just woke up out of her sleep and started singing.
Telling you, man, dude, when I heard Prince, when they first start that record and they play Prince, I think they did. Was it When Doves Cry or no? Yeah, it was When Doves Cry, right? Or was it? What was
it
it?
was it
There
was
was a
like when they were like pretty much in the truck.
yeah, and it was cool. Like I was jamming out. I'm like, oh yeah, and they flipped it to Purple Rain. I go, oh come on, man! Like I was just like, I love. I mean, he's been one of my favorites. I got to see him in concert years ago. Amazing. Um,
But I also want to give Millie Bobby Brown her flowers as well because I like her as an actress. I think she's a phenomenal actress as well. She did a very great job playing 11. I watched quite a bit of her films, and she's a very nice actress. I love it, and I
I
commend. Look, I commend anybody, especially when people have started out like young like that, because a lot of times, when a lot of times young actors when they grow up, sometimes people sometimes people give them a hard time, but you know, look, if you're able to start work while you're young, that's a good thing. I think everybody's journey is different, but I celebrate her as well. So I celebrate everybody.
I good call out, man. That's a good call out because we've watched these people grow up on television when they're trying to grow up in real life, and that makes part of Stranger Things very special, in my opinion. But the other thing too with her is you have to figure out how to be this character and develop while you're developing. Like it's not an easy role, and I know there's some hatred out there on certain things, and that's just people hating. I don't like that. I don't like the negativity. It's cool if you don't like something, but to attack somebody's character and appearance, we got to stop that.
Oh yeah, look,
She,
and
you know what I mean?
again, like because like I said, I've been on film sets, and it's pretty cool. Like you meet so many people, and even like working with child actors and stuff like that. Like everybody's still a human being, you know.
Yes.
And even though they're acting, they still have to do the regular duties of being a child. Cause like I said, a lot of times, if you're filming with the studio, you still got to make up your school hours and stuff. Look, I was on the working with Chicago PD, and we had a scene where we were working with children actors, and they had to come back like literally the next day to make up school hours, right? So look, it's it's just being
Easy.
look. Everybody's still a human being, we still have to take care of responsibility. So
Right. And I am will say that, in my opinion, when I think of shows, not movies but series, when I think of series that are going to be like those monumental series that cement themselves in history, from a cultural phenomenon, from fan following, from all that, Stranger Things has done it. There has not been a series in a long time, not saying there's not good series out there, but that has done it globally. and has done it on this impactful where you're eating Stranger Things cereal. You know, you're going to Target and they got this giant Stranger, like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a Stranger Thing hoodie I'm looking at right now. You know,
Yeah.
you know,
My little
like
cousin, my actually my little cousins, they were a lot more into it before I was. And but then when they when I started hearing them doing all like a lot of singing and stuff, cause me, I kind of like stories that like when you see filmmakers kind of they try like different things, right? Because like Stranger Things is kind of like sci-fi,
yeah,
but then it's like to kind of have like a breakout moment with them singing and stuff on there, like and even like with Max with the running up the hill song, like it's man, it's a classic.
it is. You know, and those are the scenes that you remember. Like you remember, I remember Max running up that hill. You know, I remember Dustin, you know, and or I remember, you know, the Purple Rain, and or even going back to when Will disappeared and they did. And I'm a big Bowie fan. They did that complete rendition of Heroes. Oh my god, emotional, man. You know, like, or Eddie. You know, Eddie on top of the trailer in the upside down, slashing
You know
away.
what?
Like,
I kept thinking that they was gonna use that song, the Upside Down song. I thought they was gonna use that. You remember that song? It's Upside Down, don't something like that. But I don't know if
yeah,
it's. I'm trying to see.
it's in every
It,
time I hear it. I'm like, because I'm just singing it. You know, but man, I'm happy. I uh I hope, and I don't think we will. I watched an interview with the Duffer Brothers. The question brought up is, are they going to do a giant box set physical media of Stranger Things and release it? They hinted that they want to. But they kind of kept it because Netflix doesn't really do that. Um, because they want people to go back to watch it. But I got to be honest with you, man. I could use a collector box set of Stranger Things with all the extra features, like going OG and watching like interview. Like I'm love that stuff. I hope they do it because I think Stranger Things deserves it.
yeah, and like I said, I hope that the cast really gets to work together again at some point. And that's why, like, I don't care what you do or whatever film set you on, you gotta enjoy the moments while you have them because production, like especially with budgets and things of that nature, sometimes you don't even know if a show will get a finale. So any show
Mm.
that at least got a chance to say goodbye, I think that's a beautiful thing, man, because because like I felt that way when Full House ended, right? Like I used to love that show. Like the cast, they work so well together, and rest in peace, Bob Saget. He was one of my favorite actors as well. Like so, like man. So it's
Yeah,
always good when you get to see any show where everybody kind of get to do a goodbye. Like I think I'm just grateful for that.
I agree. Being able to say goodbye and not being able to be forced goodbye. You know what I mean? Being able to do it on your terms on television, that's huge, man, in this day and age. I mean, you get to, regardless, we got a completed story. No matter what happens in the future, we have a completed story that we can say, wow, I was there. We witnessed something special. Those kids have a future. They're not even kids anymore, but all those actors have a future. I'm excited to see them do something. I'm excited to see what Sadie does in the new Spider-Man movie, but that's a different conversation.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Look, I think they all have a wonderful career ahead of them. And like I said, it's man that was like one of the best casts I seen put together in a long time. So like I said, I hope God willing we get to see them all work together again. And something like what this is where somebody need to call Adam Sandler. This is why I say that because Adam Sandler has a good way of keeping his core group together.
it is. He just people, man. He just calls his buddies up, and they just make it. We need, and you know what? I don't even mind if we see like, oh, hey, there's three of them in this movie, and there's two of them in it. Like, just let them do some stuff. It'll happen. I'm sure they're working on something, and I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for it. So, but well, final thoughts on Stranger Things. What do you think? Anything you wanted to get out there?
Well, I just want to say, Duffer Brothers, keep up the good work, and shout out to the cast. And I hope you all have a long, successful career, and just keep the love, and just keep doing what you love, and just help make
I
the world a better place. That's all we can do.
I agree. I think, man, Duffer Brothers, to me, they pulled emotions out of adults, of kids, of fans of the show, of fans or people that grew up in I mean, you really captivated family and captured those family moments. And,
Well, that's what.
I'll be honest. Hmm?
Oh no, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no. I was going to say, you captured family moments, man. And you know what? That's something that not everybody can do.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, for me, again, when they were walking up the stairs, it kind of brought me back to like my childhood moments, because like it's kind of like that moment where, like, you with your friends and everybody is going forward, and it just kind of brought back memories. So it's, I don't know, like I think in that regard, like it was very relatable in that regard to me, because I kind of like things that make you like really reflect and think about life, and like, yeah, I remember we used to be children playing together and going on adventures and things of that nature. Then we grew up, and then some of us had children or younger siblings and stuff like that. So yeah, it's bittersweet.
I agree, man. Because like 1 minute we're fighting this giant spider creature, and then the next minute we're in the basement going. I remember being in the basement in my when I was younger back in Michigan, with my friends. I remember, that was what we did, and then we'd go outside and until we couldn't go outside anymore, and building tree forts and like I remember all that. And looking now, I do that with my son. We don't have a basement in Texas, but I do that with my son, and we play and we have our adventures. And I'm like, that's how I get it back. And when he gets older, hopefully he'll be able to get it back with his kids because we don't realize how important that is until we don't have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So it was a really kind of reminiscent, man. But like I said, I'm glad that they got to grow up together and just work together. And now they're adults, and everybody's kind of going on to their own adventure. But again, like I say, anytime a show gets to say goodbye, it's better than it just ending. And everybody's just like, we out of a job now. But I think they did a wonderful job.
I think so too. So, Netflix, keep an eye on that, okay? I know you're in a big purchase here soon. Remember, we need powerful storytelling, okay? And sometimes it's worth it, to just don't go the easy way, go the hard way, make those difficult decisions. Give us some powerful stories, emotional stories. And you know what? This was great. I can't wait to go back and watch all of Stranger Things again. It's not going to happen right now. I need time to heal. I may watch the finale one more time and then I'm going to take a break, but I'm thinking like probably next year, go back and just maybe I might wait till November or something. I don't know. But I'm excited now that we have it all here to watch it unfold. So, but yeah, man, I'm glad we got to do this. We were starting off kicking it like we're just going to do a quick review. And I was like, talk. Don't get me started. I'll keep talking. um,
Yeah,
but
but
I'm glad we got.
it's always good to catch up, man. And doing movie reviews are always fun. Television show review. I mean, it's fun because, again, it's art, and art is very subjective, and so we get a lot of people that talk about what they don't like, but I tend to focus on what I did like. So, you know,
I think that's the way to go, man. I think that's the way to go. We can criticize and all that, and it's okay. It's okay if you don't like something. It's no big deal. But we don't gotta like, geez, bash it, and hate it all
yeah,
the time.
like
It's
it's
crazy.
like it's we should spend our time just focusing on things that we do like and do benefit us. Why waste your time on something you really don't care about?
Absolutely. Well, man. Until next time. Who you got anything going on? You got anything you want to plug or?
Yeah, so right now I'm in the process of finishing up my pro wrestling documentary. It's been about 5 years in the making, but we finally got to the editing process, thank God. So
Cool.
it's been a long journey. We still may shoot a couple of more times, we'll see, but I'm just glad that it's in the editing room now.
What? what do you think is the ETA on that? What I mean, I know it's hard to say, but in your timeline, now that it's in the editing room, what do you think is the ETA to get that out there?
I'm thinking maybe March, God willing. March. Yeah, not
Okay,
gonna rush it because like I said, I might wanna do it. Shoot a couple of more shots and things of that nature. But we'll see. But I'm putting it out.
cool. Well, I'm ready, and you keep me in the loop. You know, I'm ready. I remember when you started talking about that, so I'm excited about that. Growing up, being a huge pro wrestling fan, but in general, I'm just excited to see it. So keep me in the loop, and I'm sure we'll be back chatting about God knows what anytime in the near future. I'm sure something's going to come up. So, but man, I appreciate you coming on and making the time today. I'm glad that we did this. This was cool, and man, I'm just going to keep supporting. I appreciate you, man.
You got my support as well, and I really appreciate you. And I hope this year is a great year for you and your family, and all the other years. I'm wishing everybody a great new year.
Oh, we got it, man. We got it. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Wade's out, but we're gonna sit there and keep you in the loop on anything else that he's got coming on, and I'll, as far as the documentary, we'll be on top of that. But everybody have a great one. I hope we didn't spoil too much for Stranger Things if you didn't see it, but that's on you. No, but y'all go watch it and really think about some of the things we talked about. Until next time, I'm out of here. See you later, man.